Welcome to Bama Bang, and this is a video about the Model 58 Remington. This is the Sportsman version, and I'm making this video primarily because I don't see a lot of reviews, I don't see a lot of information about it online, and it's a gun I've recently acquired, and I was interested in it. So I went out and did some information, learned how to strip it down and everything, and we're going to be sharing that information with you here today. So some of the interesting features about the Model 58, built by Remington. It was actually designed back in the 50s, between the years of 1956 and 1963. It was a contemporary of the 1148, another shotgun made by Remington. And this was, of course, replaced by the Remington 1100, which I'm sure many of you own. A very popular shotgun, and for several reasons. But the thing that made this gun really famous is this was Remington's first gas-operated shotgun. And, of course, that's very interesting. It's also part of some of the shortcomings because their gas-operated system, which we'll show you here in a minute when we strip it down, actually intrudes on part of your magazine. You're only going to be able to get 2 shells in here plus one in the chamber, 2 plus 1, when you go out to shoot this thing. And it's quite heavy. That's another negative. We're going to talk about some of the positives as well. One of the things, if you come in here for a close-up, is it's an extremely well-designed, well-built, quality gun. I've inherited this from my grandfather, and it was his father, so it's seen a lot of use, and it's still operating just fine. It's got some nice engravings. If you come in here close, you can look. I believe there's some ducks engravings on that side. Flying out in the marshes or something like that. It's got some nice wood engravings. It has a nice finish on it. If I turn it over here, you can see on the other side it's got a retriever, some type of bird dog going after this. So it's a very well designed gun, operates flawlessly, and we'll show you how to break it down now. If you take off this cap, which is also another interesting feature of this shotgun, it's actually got two. You zoom in here, it's got an H and an L on it, and you have little raised metal, divots, I don't know what you want to call them, but that's for your different loads. If you're just shooting low powered, if you're shooting skeet, shooting dove, based on the power of your shotgun shell, you can just use on low. H, you rotate all the H's to the high, and they all line up simultaneously. That's for your magnum loads. So you're going to want to remove that first. And then after that, your barrel and handguard just slide right off. And you're just left with this part of your shotgun. Alright? The next thing you're going to want to do is you're probably going to want to have some non-marring object to punch these out. I don't have a non-marring object, so I just use a nail and a hammer. It's pretty barbaric, but you just stick them on there and they come right out, and this is going to allow your trigger mechanism. Just let those hit the floor. Pick them up later. It's going to allow once you get these two out, it's going to allow your trigger mechanism just to slide right out. Now after that, the more difficult part is actually getting your slide to release. So if you zoom in here, as you're going to see this gas-operated system, which was the first by Remington. Your gas actually escapes through these two holes from your barrel. Now if you zoom in here, you take off this handguard, you have to look inside here, but you can actually see 2 holes right there where it comes out of the barrel and into the gas system. And then it obviously pushes back your bolt and cycles the action. So once you have that out, if you look up here, you'll see a little notch on the left side of your magazine. You're going to want to pull this back and into that position. So make sure you put your hand over the end. You can pause the blooper reel there, or your spring will fly off along with your gases. So you pull that out, and this should actually now be floating on top of your magazine. Now the next step would be to pull this pin out. So once you've pulled the spring out, it comes the hard part. It's the part that took us a while to figure out. If you look inside, right behind your magazine, there is a little lever which catches your bolt as it slides forward. This is going to have to be depressed so that you can pull the bolt and the slide forward. I don't know if you can see it without the light, but it's right here. I recommend using a small flathead screwdriver to do that. And you're also going to want to make sure that this has already been detached when we pull it up through that notch, and that it's floating above the magazine. Otherwise it will not pull free. So slide your bolt all the way forward, very close to that, and then I just kind of take this, wedge it back, and try to slowly wedge it forward without applying too much pressure. There we go. And then your bolt and your slide will just come right off. And try to remember the position that it was in. There are actually, if you look at your actual bolt in your carrier group, it sits just like that on your slide. You can see there are notches that'll help you from getting it backwards when you go to put it back in the gun. And then the reverse process is quite similar. Just take this is as far as you will go with disassembly. Place it back on to the slide. Then you're also going to have to depress on both sides to get it back in there. And it should just slide back in like that. Okay, for reassembly, your first step obviously is going to be to take your spring, stick it back down the magazine, and insert this gas cap. Now remember, you're going to want to align this circle with the circle that's on the end of your charging rod. You're going to place this just like that over the end and press it down here, and this is where it's a little difficult. You actually have to, you zoom in here, you can see it. Well, one of the things we're going to have to do is these rings up here sometimes expand out. So you're going to have to collapse it down to get it in there. I can clamp it, I got it. Oh, then I got, bear with me. There we go. And now you can see I've got this circle aligned right there. It's much more difficult to do on camera. You just move up your charging handle and connect them. And then when you release, it holds it right there. So that's your first step. The second step, make sure your bolt sockets don't have any problems. It's in the forward position. You're going to take your trigger group and make sure that your magazine, some of the issues I was having is it was locking up on me because of the mechanism. Make sure it's working before you stick it in here. Then it just goes back in the way it went. You're going to want to make sure that these, the spring, the coiled spring, goes inside first because it's the widest point. Okay. There we went. And then simply install your pins back here and here. Once you've got your pins back in, it's pretty much just a reverse process of taking your hand stock. There is a right and wrong way to do this, so make sure that where the gas escapes goes in where you have the ring inside your hand guard, and then it just slides over your magazine. Thus, you'll want to make sure and have your charging rod handle charged, pulled back, and then you just screw on the cap. Make sure not to over tighten. Alright, now we're going to take it outside and show you how it shoots. Alright, now we're outside and we're gonna shoot a few skeet and see how it runs. So pull. 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 So, like I was saying, you only get 3 shots. You make them count, that's all that matters. So, I'm going to have to reload now. Pull. Pull. Again, just recapping the Remington Model 58 Sportsman model. We've taken out and shot it. I showed you how to take it apart and put it together, a little bit of the history and background around the gun. Just some of my personal opinions. I like the gun a lot. I think it's a great shooter. I've dove hunted with it. I've shot a lot of skeet with it. It does come, this is the 12 gauge model. It does come in a couple of different gauges, but recoil's not too bad. Depends on the load you're shooting. It depends on the person. I mean, it's a lot more than other guns, but it is what it is. It doesn't come with a butt pad or anything like that, so I guess you could potentially add one. I don't know what the aftermarket products are going to be like on this gun. But overall, excellent shotgun, an oldie but a goodie, I would say. It's a powerful weapon, but remember guys, the most powerful weapon is the Word of God. This is Bama Bang, signing out.